Now, just because they're sweet carrots doesn't mean we're not going to season them up with a little bit of salt and pepper. Just a little pinch of salt is all you need. It'll kind of draw out some of the moisture of the carrots and allow them to cook up a little bit faster. And then a little pinch of black pepper. Sweet and spicy kind of go pretty well together. If you've never tried it, you're really going to like this recipe. So we're just going to stir these up and let them go for a little bit. They really don't have to cook all that long. I don't like my carrots super mushy. I like them fairly crisp. So we just want to make sure that they're all evenly coated in here. And they'll start to soften up, and then towards the end we'll add the brown sugar. But I think our pork chops are ready, so let's go ahead and get those on the grill. Alright, check out these pork chops. They've started soaking up a lot of that flavor of the soy sauce, olive oil, and peppercorns. And I've had my grill going over medium heat. When I put these pork chops on the grill, you're going to hear a nice sear, and that's exactly what we want. We want the outside of the pork chops to caramelize so that the inside will stay tender. It kind of protects the inside from cooking too quickly. Alright, I know that there's some olive oil on the pork chops, but we're just going to put a little bit on the pan just to make sure that it doesn't stick. And it might smoke up a little bit for you and fizz and crackle, but that's how you know that the pan is hot enough to get the pork chops on there. So, go ahead and get these guys out one at a time. Ooh, you hear that? That's exactly what we're looking for. And the pork chops are different from, say, chicken breast or something like that. There's really not a particular side that you want to put down first. So, get them on there. And you do want to make sure that when you pick up your pork chops from the butcher, that they are all pretty much about the same thickness. And that way you can ensure that they cook evenly. Get them on there, and you don't want to move them until they're almost ready to go, because otherwise the meat will tear. So, why don't we just let these rock and roll for a minute, and let's go check on our carrots. We're going to go ahead and stir our carrots, make sure that they're cooking evenly. And they are doing awesome over here. I'm just going to go ahead and turn up the heat a little bit to kind of a high-medium. And that's the way, once we get the brown sugar in there, it'll just kind of caramelize and melt really quickly and coat the carrots. Now I'm going to check the potatoes, and you're probably wondering, well, what do you need a knife for? Well, we're just going to see if the potatoes are softening up. Get one of the bigger guys in here, because obviously they'll take longer to cook. And you just want to kind of... Now, see, if you can't get your knife through it pretty easily, then they're not ready yet. See, that one's pretty much good to go. But the big guys need a few more minutes. So, pretty easy way to check the potatoes. So, we'll just let those keep going. Alright, so let's go ahead and check this pork chop right here. Remember, this is the first one that we got on the grill. Oh, and it lifts off nice and easily. Check out those grill marks. Doesn't that look beautiful? So, these are good to go. We've got 4 big pork chops here to feed 4 very hungry people. I really wish you could be here. It smells really good in the kitchen right about now. So I think we've had the pork chops on for maybe about 5 minutes on each side. If they were a little bit thicker, we might want to go a little bit longer, but we'll go ahead and cut one open at the end and see how they've done. Generally, these are about, an inch thick, maybe an inch and a quarter. So they just need to go until they're not pink inside. I think we'll be right on schedule. So see how all the steam is continuing to work off the potatoes? It's my special trick. We're going to go ahead and put about a half a stick of butter in the potatoes. I know it sounds like a lot, but if you're going to eat mashed potatoes, you may as well do them the right way, right? So we've got our butter in there. We're going to go ahead and add about a half a cup of milk, or you could use heavy cream or half and half, or whatever it is that you have at your house that day. And I went ahead and got a bag of pre-washed baby spinach. I love these bags because it's no fuss. You don't have to worry about it. No extra mess. And we're going to add these in once we've gotten the potatoes pretty well mashed up. But for now, let's just add a little bit more black pepper. And this is all to taste. I mean, obviously you don't want to use too much, but I would say a healthy pinch is fine. A little bit more salt just to keep seasoning them up a little bit. Now let's go ahead and start mashing these. And if you like your potatoes a little bit creamier, feel free to add more butter or a splash more milk. No problem. Whatever you want to do is fine. That's the fun thing about cooking. You can take somebody else's recipe and just kind of do whatever you want with it, You don't have to follow it exactly. Once you get the hang of yourself and your ingredients in the kitchen, you pretty much want to run free and wild. And you can mash to your little heart's desire. You can make these really chunky, or you can keep mashing them until they're fairly smooth. I like mine somewhere in the middle. The heat from the potatoes will kind of wilt the spinach a little bit. So you don't need too much in here, just a couple good handfuls. And if you'd like smaller pieces, you can go ahead and chop up the spinach, but this is just a little bit less work. So go ahead and use your masher and spoon just to kind of get these all incorporated. You know, if you don't like the taste of raw spinach, you could always put your spinach leaves in with the potatoes right before you drain them, just to kind of shock them a little bit, to boil them. But I like the kind of bite and texture that the fresh spinach gives the potatoes. So those are looking pretty good. All right, our carrots are looking good, so let's go ahead and add the brown sugar. I used about 1/4 of a cup. You can add a little bit more if you like them a little bit sweeter. You could even add to the brown sugar a little pinch of some just regular white sugar. See how the butter kind of just melts that brown sugar, and the oil has somewhat fried the carrots. But they're looking really good. Let's go ahead and turn these down now so that they can just kind of soak up all that yummy sugar and butter. Our pork chops have been cooking for about 10 to 12 minutes, about 5 or 6 minutes on each side. So let's go ahead and take them off and get them on our platter to rest a few minutes before we cut them. Remember, you want to always let your meat rest so all the juices can come back in and you're not losing all your flavor on your plate, especially since we're going to stack them up on top of our mashed potatoes. So let's leave those there for a second and get the rest of our goodies on our plate, shall we? So I'm going to start with a nice pile of potatoes in the center of my plate. And doesn't the spinach just look pretty in those? My friend Baxter is 4 years old, and he doesn't really like any vegetables unless they're mixed with either macaroni and cheese or mashed potatoes. So I found that this was a pretty good way to get him to eat all that good stuff. All right. Now this is a meal for 4, so take about 1/4 of the potatoes, and now we're going to take about 1/4 of these yummy carrots. See how good those look in there? Yum. I can't wait to get my mouth around those. So just take a couple spoonfuls here. You just kind of want to run these along the outside of the plate, just framing your potatoes and your pork chop. This is really restaurant quality food here. I don't know if you get this good a presentation at some of the restaurants you go to. I certainly don't. Alright, I'll take this one right here. It's the little guy. That one's fine for me. So we'll just rest that right there on the mashed potatoes. And let's see how we did, shall we? Alright, so we got a lot of peppercorns on this bite. Let's get a little bit of mashed potatoes too. And a carrot. Make sure we get some of everything in there. That's really good. Alright, what you gotta do now? Let's go and try this on some of your friends and see if they like it. Well, we just spent about maybe 40 minutes making a really delicious meal for 4 people. It'd be really easy to make this for more people. I used a carrot per person, so we used 4 carrots, and I used about 2 pounds of potatoes, which is a lot of potatoes, but you can obviously use as much or as little as you like. We had 4 beautiful pork chops from our butcher. We marinated those in some peppercorns, soy sauce, olive oil, salt, and pepper. Got those in a gallon plastic bag and made sure that they had a little bit of time to incorporate before we put them on the grill. We smeared in some spinach leaves, some fresh baby spinach leaves with our mashed potatoes to give them this beautiful green look. And we cooked our carrots with some brown sugar, butter, and olive oil just to make them soft and sweet. So thank you so much for joining me today here on EatCountryLifestyle.com. I'm Danielle Gilbert. Have a delicious day. See you next time.